Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
And good morning, because you keep forgetting about people that are watching in the morning.
This is A Type of News. I'm Dr. Pyramid.
Bruce Robinson.
And we are joined today by CADA's Anthony Santucci.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Did I get everybody?
Good evening.
Good evening, my apologies. I figured we must have made it. I got to hang out on you guys' podcast as opposed to watching it for a change.
Well, you know,
We've never been invited.
we like to be all inclusive when we need to be, when we need to be.
Yeah, for sure.
No. I'm only giving you a hard time.
Well, first of all, we'd like to apologize for the Royal Gazette's drive for change. Because
Yes.
we also did not include that in the written, and we'd like to
Oh,
apologize.
no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, we promptly got a message saying, hey, you didn't mention it. Like, oh, sorry.
We want to apologize to you as well. We did not include CADA either.
See, we don't script our episodes. We choose a topic, we research it, and then we just,
Don't tell them that.
we research. It's just, we don't script it because it's our raw opinions, not our scripted, stripped away, watered down stuff. No, it's.
But we're glad to have you on the show. yeah, that's what I'm like.
You got that Scooby thing going on, huh?
Je ne sais pas.
But we wanted to have.
Oh,
fuck.
Are you sure?
This is your fault for inviting Frank onto the show.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
What do you think? Nobody else speaks French?
I know. I speak Spanish.
Yeah, I don't do French. But
Español es mejor idioma.
But it's good to know that the person behind CADA is super cool. So if you guys feel like you want to help him out, feel free. He seems very approachable.
I like to think so. Thank you.
Yes. And I guess obviously we want from somebody who is an expert on the field. Not expert in drinking, but expert in.
I thought most of us Bermudas were experts in drinking. Or at least think that we are. I think that's the problem.
We only touched on in our prior discussion the relationship between alcohol and the decline in road safety.
All right. Oh, okay. Let's talk a bit about that. That might be a good thing. First, I suppose, let me just tell you a bit about CADA. CADA was actually formed 54 years ago.
Jesus.
Then you've been around. And me too. By two former alcoholics. At that point in time, there was no way for them to get help or assistance because of alcoholism. So I don't know how they actually got it taken care of.
They had cars back then?
Possibly. And so they got together and formed CADA. At that point in time, it was known as the Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. And subsequently started to provide support to people that had addiction issues, principally alcohol, but it evolved to drugs and alcohol. About maybe 12 years ago, we redid our strategic plan and really decided to focus our efforts exclusively on what we would call the root cause of most addictions, which would be alcohol, and Bermuda's relationship with alcohol, or the unhealthy relationship we would like to say that we have with alcohol. It's kind of like having a bad marriage, but you just keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. And as a result of that, the net result is we end up in road safety. And people will say to me all the time, you're the road safety guy, I said, no, I'm the drink responsible guy. And the reason we end up in road safety is because a disproportionate number of our fatalities have alcohol or drugs in them. And I say disproportionate, it's roughly 75-77% of all road fatalities in this country actually have alcohol or drugs in the system. So for good or bad, when somebody crashes and dies on the road, I calculate in my mind. I know Trey's not good at math, and
I'm not.
And I say, okay, that's 3, 4, okay, 75% of that. And I know, I don't want to say through experience, but I know based on statistical data that what the chances of them being alcohol or actual accidents. And like in my mind, I figure if it's 77% alcohol and drugs, that means 25% if we're running it down in this case are really accidents. So those would be accidents, and the other things like road crashes, because I know that 75% of them aren't accidents, because if you drink, you smoke marijuana, you smoke cocaine, and then you have some Tylenol, and that was then one victim. You clearly, it wasn't an accident. You were on a suicide mission. It had to have been, because you mix all that stuff and you went riding down the road on your bike.
What's the Tylenol for?
So
that's how we end up in road safety. And stats are pretty alarming. At launch of No Alcohol Awareness Month, April, he's quoted a number, but most people round my numbers up or down. In this case, they rounded it down. In the last decade, 15,921 individuals have been admitted to King Edward Memorial Hospital as a result of a road crash.
Wait, 15,000?
Yeah, 921.
Wow.
I know you don't like math, but it's rather specific number. It's not a guesstimate.
So that's almost every single young person.
Well,
That's half the people that have licenses right there. Because if we only have 60,000 people.
I better say this, that the hospital board has this amazing lady, Charlene Wilson, Charlene, who runs their stats systems. And she can give you anything. I mean anything. How many eyebrows have been lost in the hospital escalator? And they don't have one, of course, but she'll find it.
If you ask.
They just have a really very powerful data processing system there, and you have to go through a few humps to just get to it or access to them, allowing you to have the data. But they're absolutely amazingly thorough and really, really good. I know people who like to beat up on the hospital. I think they actually do all things considered an amazing job. But they got some serious data. But there are opportunities as well.
He said 15,900.
921.
21.
Well.
So that's kind of wild. But 10 years ago, the then Minister of National Security, I'm going to say that because ministers change so often.
Yeah.
So do titles, you know.
Yeah.
Ministers change their underwear. It's like we got different one every 5 seconds.
I'm going to touch that. I knew you would go there. I just knew it, you know.
Yeah.
But Dale Butler, who's no longer minister or an MP, and I want to say sometime in either 2007 or 08, came to CADA and said, here's XYZ dollars. I need you to go and produce a report on the best practices relative to alcohol. And we formulated this group of cross-section Meridians. You have some clergy, some party planners, and hotel people, and people that sell alcohol. And we sat down for and some policemen as well. Sorry, Trey.
Are you apologizing to me for the policemen?
I know they're not your favorite people. But we came up with a report called the 2008 CADA Alcohol Practice Plan, and in that recommendations we dealt with alcohol and best practices throughout the world relative to the consumption of alcohol, and made a series of recommendations. Alcohol beer control, which for our perspective would be an amalgamation of the police force, the Alcohol Liquor Licensing Agency, and the Ministry of National Security at this point, but because that changes, and they would be responsible for the issuing of liquor licenses, the sales and service of liquor licenses, the education of alcohol and the consequences of consuming or abusing it. And they would go to bars and spot check bars to make sure they're adhering to the law. Like, who knows that if you serve somebody drunk in Bermuda that you could be fined up to $10,000? You knew that?
I worked in hospitality.
I didn't know that.
So we all knew that. Everyone who
So how
works
come
in the
everybody's
hotel-
coming out of your place drunk?
Oh no, not at the hotel.
Oh yes, the hotel's a fancy establishment.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
bar down the street, they'll come
I
stumbling
feel
out.
like it is really emphasized in hospitality, especially in the hotel.
Well, it's 'cause the
That
hotel
you-
doesn't want to get
we have
sued.
to get seminars and all that
That's
about
right.
judging whether somebody's drunk and cutting them
We
off.
call those behavior cues.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
behavior cues, intoxication rate factors, nothing, just wonderful terms.
Well, there you go. Everybody needs to take notes from the hospital.
But
Get your
otherwise
people.
than that, it's not common.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was common practice.
But you know why that's not common practice? Because we've had this law for 40 years and it's never been applied once. How many people you think you would have to fine $10,000 before everybody changes their attitude?
I'd say probably 70% of the bartenders on the island.
Just one.
Thank you. All you have to do is hit one. The rest are going to say, okay, I don't want to lose 10 grand.
Yeah.
See, that's what we mentioned in the last episode. We were saying maybe harder sanctions should be put on this thing. Because just the other day, I can't remember, I'm not going to say the guy's name, but he lost his license for a year because he wouldn't take a breathalyzer test. I think a year is too soft.
Nah, you can read the paper today. This guy wouldn't take a breathalyzer test. And
That's
got
what I'm
4
talking
months. No, today, got 4 months.
That's... What is 4 months?
I don't know, he ran his BMW into a wall down in Smith Parish, and I'll let you pick the burns out of that.
He ran his BMW. He gonna pay for that.
Yeah.
Into a wall in Smith's.
Wow.
But
Wow.
4 months in a year, that just.
No, but and that's an issue. I mean, from my perspective, no, I don't speak from my perspective. I speak from CADA's perspective. The reality of the fact is, if you refuse to take the breath test, it seems to me that your penalty should be twice what the guy that actually took the breath test is.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there should be some sort of disincentive. Not that I don't take it and I get 4 months.
Yeah.
But if I got 4, how come Trey got a year? Well, clearly I'm better looking, but
That plays a big part, especially for Jay.
You can throw off, Jake. No. But this is also the thing, because what we were saying was if it's harsher than, I mean, and even if someone gets 4 months, I've experienced this before. If you get pulled over and your name doesn't come up in the system, even though there could be a warrant out for your arrest, nothing's gonna happen to you. So even if you're,
so you've been pulled over.
yes, I've been pulled over. Everybody's been pulled over with a license. Okay, except for you because you don't have a license.
I've actually been pulled over as well.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
No,
How do you mean you know that?
Well, I mean-
I got pulled over like maybe 4 years ago. I was driving home.
This was
And
this was a
the police
long
pulled
time
me
ago.
over. And then they pulled me over under the Gang Something Act, and I had on penny loafers and like some khaki shorts and a tennis shirt. I'm like,
Perfect for the boss.
Gang bangers dressed like this.
Right at the head of the game is the guy with the khaki.
You know, which was kind of amazing, but I sat. I heard you. I'm just ignoring you. But I sat there and I you know, so you know, they asked me stupid questions. You know, like where do you live? And after I gave them my name, so of course the amazing individual was from England. I said, so my name is Santucci. Yes. So where do you think I'm from? She's like, So where does Santucci's come from? We don't like live all over the island.
Work?
Thank you. You know, and that seems like a fair question. You shouldn't have to ask me stuff like that if you don't. You tell me.
Yeah, for real.
Man, bad enough that you pulled me over.
Well, this is the thing. They pulled me over, and then apparently this was like 5 years ago. But apparently there was a warrant out for me from 3 years ago that I had no knowledge about.
Were you drinking and driving?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't do that at all. No. Either way.
They're like, guys, drinking and driving and that's really just the end result of a bad relationship with alcohol. So hence in our report we talked about having an alcohol abuse control. We talked about having something called social hosting laws. And let me tell you a bit about social hosting laws. Social hosting laws are laws that are designed to simply say that if I go to Trey's house for dinner and I consume too much alcohol and Trey lets me drive down the street and I crash into the wall, that Trey's responsible. It also says that if my kid goes to Trey's house and he comes home drunk, that Trey is also responsible. Because as the adult or the host, social hosting,
To make sure everybody gets home safe.
your job is to make sure your guests get home safe and that kids don't get alcohol.
How many
for real.
people does CADA get home safely?
How many have we taken?
How many have you taken home safely?
We have this program called Let Us Drive. It runs, it's kind of, I'd say every Friday night, Saturday morning, or every Saturday morning, because if I say Friday night, in reality it's actually Saturday morning. But you know us, if you're not Saturday night, you run it to Sunday morning, but we actually don't know that it's actually Sunday morning, because it's still Saturday night. And
So like Saturday morning, 2
Saturday
a.m.
morning at 3 a.m.
Okay.
We have the Let Us Drive program, which has been in existence for 10 years now. It's sponsored by Bacardi, Big Up for Bacardi, and Gosling's, Boris Lightburn, Corporation Hamilton. And as of January, which will be year end, we have taken home 17,103 people.
Wow.
See, I hear from a lot of people that a lot of people will go out and then they will complain, oh, I don't want to pay all that money for taxi home when there is an alternative. And I'm just like...
Yeah, but the challenge really is, it's only that one morning, and it's only that morning because resources are finite. You know, and after doing some market research before we actually started, we did market research too. We thought, and then we went out, we rented at this time, rented at that time, rented at different times, different days of the week, and believe it or not, more people hang out on Friday night than do Saturday night, so we have maximum yield on Saturday mornings.
So is it like, can people like volunteer to drive for this, or?
Nah, it's not like that. It's, all you need to do is leave the club at 3 o'clock in the morning, walk up Burnaby Hill, fall down outside the AS Coopers. I probably shouldn't say that because that's where they usually are. They're sitting on the stool. The staff
Oh my
AS
God, he
Coopers,
said fall out
laid out,
outside the AS Coopers.
across from the LON building, and we have a coordinator whose name is George. And George is there every Saturday morning, has been for 10 years. And
That's dedication.
he has like 6 cabs lined up, and he just says, okay, you ready? Oh, he says, no, he says east. So who's ever going east? Bump, you go with him. Who's going west? Bump. North Shore, who's going North Shore? Bump, bump, bump. No, we need more for east. Okay, bang. Oh, we need more for west, and they load them in. George, what we call vultures them off. So your assigns vultures, get them to the cab driver, and the cab operators take you home.
Must be helpful cleanup for the cab drivers.
Nah, nobody's ever gone to Europe. Knock on wood.
Really?
Never. There's one guy, I won't call his name because you know exactly what I'm talking about. You will, trust me. He was sort of showing behavior cues. And the taxi operator said, that Boo was his name. It wasn't his name, Boom, like that's me sort of.
Yeah.
So he got out, he went out, ironically enough, lift the trash, the little black thing off the trash tap or open it up and, clap, boom, 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 got in and went out.
Wow.
I ain't never drank that much. I felt like throwing up.
But
People abuse alcohol.
Oh yeah,
But
we
we
know.
CADA stand on the random stop and searches and the
But there's such thing as, okay, in that report is something called, one of the recommendations was for non-selective sobriety checkpoints, not random, non-selective. Difference is this. Random simply means on if you saw I fake down here, I want to fake down, come over here. That the profiling and perception of profiling, all the other negative things that come out as a result of that. In terms of actually getting greater results, meaning that you get more people off the road, random is actually the number one choice of actually how to do sobriety checkpoints. However, because of the community we live in, we as a group, or the committee at the time, said, nah, that's not going to work in Bermuda. It's a little too sensitive to have foreign police officers randomly deciding who they're going to stop. So
That can be problematic.
Yeah. So we decided that after research, we found a program that is non-selective. And non-selective sobriety checkpoints are really very simple. The commander on the ground will say, tonight we're stopping every nth car we say, could be the 5th or the 10th. And irrespective of who's driving the car, you pull it over. You take your test. If you're clear, you go. If you're not, then you go and complete the process. And that's non-selective. We've never supported random, and it's all about non-selective.
Never been pulled over for alcohol test.
However, sobriety checkpoints aren't really about pulling you over. That's the thing everybody focuses on. The real value of sobriety checkpoints is in the pre-advertising of the fact. So you know that on Friday night on East Broadway between 10 and 12 there's going to be sobriety checkpoints set up. You also know on Friday night between 10 and 12 there's one on North Shore, or there's one on the Causeway. So you know the police are doing 3 checkpoints tonight. People come out of town, people come out of St. George's, people go to North Shore. You're like, okay, so what that does is it creates, and you're in hospitality, but you don't work at the Ritz-Carlton, do you?
not quite.
No, you're the Fairmont, you don't count. They're a great company, but they're not the Ritz-Carlton. The Ritz-Carlton has this thing creating an air of discipline. And what the air of discipline is, causing a SEE, and an SEE would be a significant emotional experience. And sobriety checkpoint SEEs create a significant emotional experience because people are like, oh my God, they start talking, and the result is you actually have a behavioral change before people actually get into the cars. You will still invariably have people going home trying to drive home.
Of course.
But you will have a disproportionate, your numbers go down significantly because they know you're there.
Yeah.
It's just like driving, where are you from?
Oh, from
Parish.
Oh, North Carolina. Come on, damn. I was like, what you mean?
Okay, if you're going the
You
bridge,
Somerset
like coming out of Burnside, you're going out, if you just get going east or going to town, and you see a police person, what do? You slow down. Well, most of us slow down.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
Some of us are just stupid.
some of us just go like that.
Yeah.
But
There's
and,
somebody gotta
and advertising actually has the same impact of discouraging people from over-consuming when they go out because they actually know they're having these checkpoints.
Yeah, in the regiment we call it the escalation tactic. So it's like we were taught to, before making any movement, try to de-escalate the situation, and certain movements could do that.
Right.
Similar to sobriety checks, where
Right.
it's like, okay, I know I'm not, you're gonna probably weed out the ones who are not willing to test the system, which is majority.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna get the shotgun
that's right.
people that's just gonna fire right into it anyway.
That's right.
But it's just like
But-
with any public order thing,
That's right.
we're trained, you know, you move the shields in unison first, you try
Right.
to de-escalate the crowd before engaging them.
There you go.
So it's I see what you're saying.
How many times did they hit you with those rubber bullets?
I can't disclose that information thing.
You have been hit with one, I hope.
That's a yes.
I have. Once.
I've been jumping the
And
rubber
it,
bullet ball.
and it didn't even hit me
It's
direct. Struck the ground and then struck me on my boot.
That's the correct way.
And all I want you to know, Trey, I was limping for the rest of the week.
I've been hit with a rubber bullet before, just not the regiment.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
this supposed to not let it bust.
I grew up in America.
It's supposed to go straight from the arm to the chest.
no,
That
no,
person
no.
tried to kill you, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But it hurts, boss. It hurts. But yeah, and that's the same concept. So they're not random, they're non-selective, and the key component of that isn't the actual sobriety checkpoint itself or the physical component. It is actually advertising it ahead of time. I'm sure you have friends that send you a WhatsApp message, "Oh, police is on East Broadway,"
Oh, all the time.
and that in reality, or you either go that way or you slow down.
Mm-hmm.
That in reality really is what sobriety checkpoints are. We're actually, except we're just not sending them on social media, because of a radio and news and television, and it's really just to create that air of discipline.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
So, what would it take to like get the businesses, well, the bar owners, club owners, any place that sells alcohol? What would it take to get them to like enforce not letting people get? I mean, I understand fining somebody $10,000, but in alternate to that,
You grew up in Bermuda,
not really.
but wherever you grew up, and even culturally, there's some consistency, there's synergies in our culture.
Yeah.
And you went to the stove, and your old man or your old lady said, "Don't touch that stove," and they gave you a whooping if you went near it.
Mm-hmm.
And you cried and mumbled and did whatever, but they did that for your benefit because they knew if you went to the stand, you'd be like me and you'd end up with one of those.
Well, some of us have to touch it.
Exactly, idiots.
Yeah.
You know this personality. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, you got
You
it.
know, the same thing. It's called an alcohol bureau of control. And think about it. We sell, or we consume in this case. It's got to be sold. 6.4 million liters of alcohol a year, and not all of us drink. And tourism, as you all know, hasn't been booming that much. And this was 6.4 before we had the America's Cup. The numbers for America's Cup will be out this year. So that's 6.4 million liters of alcohol. For about, half of us drink, and half of us don't drink that much. Women drink more than men in our community.
Really?
Yes. Women drink.
Because we're buying them drinks. That's why. I know what you're saying.
And for once, he gets a suit instead of me. I can see it right now.
Yeah,
I got you.
They do.
ITTN lawsuit.
And they drink harder drinks.
Mm-hmm.
They drink like you're like maybe a Cosmo. What's a Cosmo? All it really is a double shot of vodka with some cranberry juice.
For real.
You know, you're sitting there with your little Heineken, and you know,
Yeah.
and you're
That's like what, like 2%?
no, but okay, but just some science. 1 ounce shot of spirit, 5 ounces of wine, and a 12-ounce beer all had the same amount of pure alcohol in them. All right, so a shot, 5 ounces of wine, 12 ounces of beer, all had the same amount of pure alcohol in them. Just say yes, Anthony.
Yes, I know.
Okay. I wasn't arguing.
This isn't up to debate. Oh, that little queer look at your face like.
I was just like, wait a second.
Not the same volume of liquid, but the same.
But the
amount
same
of pure
content of
alcohol. So just think. So you've got your beer. She's got a double shot because she's got a Cosmo. It's 2 shots.
She's already bombs at
It's just on her way down the road.
Yeah.
But 98% of DUI checks a male.
Interesting. Well, that's
So what do you think? Women not drinking drug? Or they get off? Random? 98. We know through this is a department called the Department for National Drug Control. A really super department for geeks, like I don't want to say myself, but definitely obviously a geek. And they have this stats department run by Dr. CADA and Stephanie, and those girls crunch some serious numbers. And if you ever really want stats on alcohol, drug abuse, homelessness, what Bermuda as a whole think, an amazing database to tap into.
Yeah, because now I have a bunch of questions, like how many women have like
Oh yeah,
died on the roads, how many...
Well, I can tell you that stuff, but principally men, principally locals. Don't get caught up in the tourist thing, because that's the exception as opposed to...
I wasn't even thinking about tourists.
Yeah.
But I tell you what we don't have that's critically important to create baseline data. And baseline data and doing any research or making good public policy is kind of important. When people go to the hospital, they don't take their blood for evidentiary purposes. And there's a difference between evidentiary blood and blood for medical purposes. And that's because the Road Traffic Act says that it has to be taken by a physician. And how many times have you been to the hospital where the doctor came and took your blood? Doctors don't take blood. Phlebotomists come and take your blood. But in our community, the only person that could take blood for evidentiary purposes is a physician. Now, how many doctors you know are going to come out at 3 o'clock in the morning to take somebody's blood?
No.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
And the cost of bringing them out at 3 o'clock in the morning is ridiculously expensive.
They didn't get the degree to do that.
No, but Bermuda actually has...
They didn't spend all that money on that degree to do that.
Well, maybe, yeah, that's another conversation. But we actually had 36 trained phlebotomists on the island
But they're
who
not
are
allowed
trained to take blood.
But
No,
they're
they
not-
can take blood.
Okay.
Just not for evidentiary purposes.
That's retarded.
Wow.
Stupid. That's stupid.
Retarded?
I mean,
Yeah,
I
probably
don't
not
want to piss
PCA.
off anybody.
That's not PCR, okay.
This
yeah,
whole show is not PC.
No, but yeah, isn't that kind of whack?
Yeah, it is.
That is...
So
Right,
we, yeah, but of that 15,921 people, I couldn't tell you how many actually had alcohol, cocaine, or whatever in their system, because we can't take the blood for evidentiary purposes. Because you have to have a doctor. Now there are exceptions to most rules where they may come in, but that's the exception. Trust me, that they bring a phlebotomist in to actually the doctor in because they won't let a phlebotomist take it to take blood. So how do I know how many people have have alcohol and drugs in the system? Because when you die, you actually have to do blood samples and all that other stuff.
Right.
So I go down to the lab in St. David's. I probably shouldn't say that, but I do.
What do we say, David's?
Yep, I spend a day
Planet
down there.
St. David's?
Yeah, but you have to take a bag of peanut M&Ms.
What, to hold up the centipedes?
Nope, because the lady that runs the facility loves peanut M&Ms.
No, you just take care of everybody. That's
No, so I get on my moped, I go all the way east with my peanut M&Ms, I go to Mills Creek and buy 2 big bags, like the 3-pound bags, and I head down the road.
I mean, 3-pound bags of peanut M&Ms?
Well, because I'm not going to go back for a year.
Okay.
So it's just
You know, so once a year, really usually in January, February, I make the track down.
So
to
she
St.
eats like
David's.
one a day till she sees you again?
No, I don't know. Don't you eat peanut M&Ms?
Of course I do. Just only in the movies.
Those things are addictive.
Yeah,
I don't eat candy anymore, but when I did,
that was the game.
No,
it was peanut M&Ms.
I still whale some peanut M&Ms when I go to the movie. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
only time
Oh,
I eat
that's
them,
fine.
but that's the only thing I eat.
Aren't they the best?
They are the best.
They are.
Not as good as the crispy ones, though.
Either
Either way. Because we had sidetracked. We talking about drunk people, now we're talking about
Yeah,
M&Ms.
but so she does some amazing work, and she's the forensic science, and she just does her thing. We have some amazing women in this country that do some amazing work that never get recognition.
I agree. What are we saying?
We're talking about peanut M&Ms and
Peanut
And the
M&Ms.
forensic
Let's
science
start back up peanut
and the forensic
M&Ms.
science department that government has, but no. But so it's all about like the fatalities and the crashes are really the result of bad behaviors or a bad relationship. And our job at CADA is to highlight these bad relationships, doing courses, and do whatever's necessary to change our relationship with alcohol. You know, it's either, if we're in, what are we in, 18?
18.
I wouldn't say it was 15. We did these, Dr. Kyla Reyna and Joanne Dean's in charge of this department, really superwoman. And they did what we call the household survey. School thing. If you're a geek, if you like this dumb stuff. Clearly I'm a geek because I like this dumb stuff, right?
It's cool.
And they ask a million questions, and people extend their phones in their ears when they're doing the surveys. You know, people are not always nice to survey takers.
No.
You know, but the survey is really critical to actually track movements in alcohol and drugs and socialization. All sorts of great stuff is in there. Okay, shut up, Santucci. But through that survey, hence, why do we know that women drink more than men? It's in the household survey. Why do we know that married couples drink more than single people? Because it's in the household survey.
Oh,
Really?
We can attest to that.
I mean, I know that like married couples like socially drink, but like when I think like going out on Friday and getting absolutely sloshed at people younger than me.
I don't think the survey asks them where do they drink.
Okay.
Per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
But what's
That makes sense now that I think about it.
one of the critical components of that is that kids as young as 7.5 actually start consuming alcohol in our country.
7.5.
I can't say 7. I don't know what a 7.5-year-old kid looks like, but okay.
That's how you know you're young when you still say I'm 7.5.
Yeah, but
You know, the challenge with that is this.
7.5.
Exactly. The challenge with that in this community, in any community, is this. The kids that consume or that are exposed to alcohol before the age of 14 are 4 times more likely to become addicted to drug and alcohol. Now, we also know by that survey, guess what? Girls drink more than boys. By 3%.
So do you think that it might be a link between mothers and this 7-year-old
I'm going to simply say it's cultural.
Well, it is cultural. It is deep ingrained culture.
We just don't have a problem giving our kids alcohol. But think about it this way. So if we know that kids that drink alcohol before 14 are 4 times more likely to become addicted to alcohol and drugs, we know that all our girls are drinking, because they told us. Not all of them, but a significant percentage. It doesn't take a rocket science or a degree in whatever.
Statistics?
Not alcohol, but the stats. Dr. Walter Jew was my stats professor in university. Super guy. I'll tell you about that in another clip about him and the African guy. It's much fun. But my goodness, if all you girls are drinking, you know that they're going to be they're 4 times more likely to become addicted to drugs and alcohol. So how hard is it to project out lifetime use of alcohol? Not hard. The numbers are done. How difficult is it to project out? Okay, we've got lifetime use. We know how many women will be drinking for their lifetime. The impact that has on health insurance, which is critically important. But more importantly, as important, is okay. So we can project out the number of potential female addicts easily 10, 20 years because we know that they started drinking alcohol at this point. So statisticians are like really super cool people where they can project this stuff out. So if your kids are drinking, most of them are girls. So that essentially means we can project out how many female addicts we're going to have in the country in the next 10, 15 years because we got the baseline data. And we should use, and baseline data is only useful if we use that data to make good public policy. And one of the challenges in this community, and it's irrespective of which government, is to get them to use good data to make good public policy. But policy makers tend to make policy because it's necessarily popular and not necessarily the right thing to do, you know. And that's unfortunate. You know, and it is.
It is, it's true.
You know, sobriety checkpoints aren't meant to be popular, but it's good public policy.
And it's necessary, since it's killing most of us,
Yeah.
more of us than any sort of violence or
Look,
disease.
you know, when Dale, former Minister Butler, gave us this task, that year alone in 2008, when we submitted our report, there were 17 road fatalities on the street. There were 15 the year before. There were 118 in that decade, and there were 118 in the decade since. They're kind of wonderful. We're consistent.
Yeah.
We average 12 road fatalities a year, and if you say 75% of that is alcohol related, that's 9 alcohol deaths a year.
Great.
And we're consistent. The numbers won't even go like this, you know. You spread them out long enough, they all marry nice and consistent. No.
Wow.
And that's how we are, guys. We drink, drive, die. We give our kids alcohol. We don't think that my daughter or son's going to become addicted to alcohol because, yeah, let me have some beer while I'm sitting out here with my mates. All bad habits. Social hosting laws, alcohol bureau control, non-selective sobriety checkpoints. Guess what? We need to get hip and join the 21st century and deal with our illnesses. I can fix the deaths. But what are we going to do about all the other stuff? You know,
We can't change people dying, but we can't change like the
culture
that makes them die, which is what we were championing in the last.
We just need to understand that we have a unhealthy relationship with alcohol,
and we need to do something about it.
yeah,
And
and alcohol bureau control.
Just to close it out.
I'm sorry, I talk a lot.
No, that's okay. That's good. We need the info.
Oh, we needed the info.
But we just want to hear, just to wrap it up, what are we to look forward to from CADA this year? Like any initiatives, anything really?
Well, you know, you sound like our funders, you know. What are you doing new?
We ain't giving you money. That's not in the budget. Not yet.
What are you doing new? I'm like, oh, yeah. And you know, it's been a decade since our 2008 report. It's been a decade since Let Us Drive. So we've really had a fairly successful decade. We anticipate that sobriety checkpoints are going to be in before cop match, but no diss to the premier. I've heard that for the last decade, and I've had this conversation with all premiers. That would be, who did I start with? Alex Scott, Euro Brown, Paula Cox, Canadair, Dunkley, and Albert. I don't want you to think I discriminate, because alcohol doesn't discriminate.
No, it doesn't.
And I can promise you I've had a commitment from every one of those leaders that we're going to do it. And I'm not saying I'm a naysayer. I just know you said you're going to do it, and when I get on these forms and say you're giving me a 649 because we haven't done it, or when kids die, you know, in America, when they had the shooting down in Florida.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, which was kind of whack. You know, and they had to say, okay, we're sick and tired of condolences and whatever. Well, you know, I'm sick and tired of that. Politicians like to pontificate and give all that other wonderful stuff, but you know what? We have the opportunity to fix it. There's what we're excited about this year is that there are two green papers coming out, one on roads and one on alcohol and drugs. Personally, I don't think we need a green paper, because if you got 20 years of data,
Yeah.
make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But
but
how much more data do they need to like?
that's my Scooby.
See now I'm just even more like like.
Yeah, remember what I said about politicians and policies?
That's right.
Well, we need a you know.
What we need is really the community to simply say enough is enough. But nobody wants to cut down the opportunities to go out and have fun.
No, everybody wants to go out and have fun, but go out and have fun and be safe and get home safe.
But that's where it comes down to.
Yeah.
So you can go have fun another weekend.
People, the community themselves might not make the decisions that are in their best interest. That's what a government is.
That's right.
It's like sometimes you have to make unpopular decisions.
Hand
that
on the
save
stove.
people's lives.
Hand on the stove.
Yeah.
You know, you can either touch it, and I have to deal with you crying and take you to the hospital.
We've been saying that for a year.
Yourself,
Yeah,
you know,
for real.
and you know, we just have to mature as a community.
Well,
We really do. But, you know, I have faith. I have faith in your generation as well, contrary to popular belief. I don't think you're as progressive as many of you should be, but we'll fix that.
Not anymore, anyway. But
We're working on it.
but thank you, Mr. Santucci. We appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
We will never forget CADA again. We promise.
So if you're passing out by AS Coopers, just waiting for you.
Georgia, take
Get
you
home
out.
safely.
Georgia, get you out.
This has been
Your bus is run. You can get your bike on Monday.
I'm Dutch Freeman.
Bruce Robinson.
Anthony Santucci.
Check y'all later.